A band of adventurers pauses their trek on a chilly night to rest. The group sips on hot drinks while sitting together outside. A strange rustle awakens the forest, sending a low rumble through the area. The group fails to hear the sound, completely unaware of the approaching danger. Only the MC feels that something is off as he senses the shift in the environment. He watches the coffee quiver on the trembling ground. The MC's eyes widen with alarm as the vibrations intensify. Someone yells that an enemy is approaching as a massive serpent materializes. The leader commands every member of the extermination squad to get ready for battle. It is the first time a legendary ranked monster has appeared in the world. The creature opens its massive mouth wide, revealing rows of sharp teeth. The beast unleashes a fear-inducing mental attack on the entire group. The commander tells them to stay calm and hold their ground while the beast roars. A new message pops up, showing the group has successfully resisted the fear. The extermination squad consists of top players, and the MC is one of them. With help from the buffers, the MC activates his abilities and flashes a smirk. However, his system status reveals that he is surprisingly only at level 1. The MC is ready, and he lunges at the creature without hesitation. Their clash triggers a massive burst of energy as he strikes the beast. Choi Hyun-seong is 26 years old and is currently taking a break from work at a construction site. Until 3 years ago, he was an ordinary student before his life changed forever. His father developed an incurable illness called mana reflux syndrome, leaving him bedridden. This tragedy occurred after an interdimensional portal opened, bringing new challenges to humanity. Some people began awakening magical powers, which felt like a blessing to many. However, those portals also unleashed hordes of monsters that ravaged the world. Incurable diseases emerged from this chaos, leaving scars across the land. The awakened players were the ones who solved these problems, standing triumphant over the monsters they had defeated. Valuable items fell from the monsters, letting players amass great wealth. But for the main character, those portals brought only misfortune and darkness. The rare monster disease that struck his father was extremely expensive to treat. To support the family, his mother took on 2 jobs, working tirelessly in kitchens. His sister sacrificed her wedding savings and worked part-time as well. Financial ruin was inevitable, and the main character believed the burdens would disappear if he could only awaken his powers. Choi Hyun-sung dreamed of crushing massive rocks and leaping higher than skyscrapers as a legendary player. After a grueling shift, he collapses onto his bed, physically and mentally exhausted. Players earn unimaginable wealth, yet the path to awakening is as rare as winning the lottery. He thinks it is impossible for him, yet the desire stays strong as being a player is now a necessity. Choi Hyun-sung gets ready for a shower when suddenly, his surroundings shift and a glowing screen appears before him. The message announces that he has finally awakened, and stunned, he opens the status window. His anticipation turns to confusion because his numbers are shockingly low. Joy turns to despair as a typical player starts with a total of 40 attributes, but he has only 18. Though he gains 5 points per level, he faces a long and exhausting journey to catch up to others. He lacks any active or passive skills, while others are scouted by guilds with massive offers. 99% of players are forced to choose between the tank, warrior, or healer classes, but one girl is an exception. Kim Hana has been supported by high-level players since her youth, and alongside them, she wields unique skills. She is the only buffer in South Korea, while many other players struggle to survive the early levels. Our guy has never heard of anyone surviving without a single skill in the past 19 years. Choi Hyun-sung grows curious about his status, though he assumes checking his skills will not be worth the effort. A long list of items opens before him, featuring rare elven swords and other high-rank weapons. He is amazed by the selection, but the values are incredibly high, making him wonder if he can convert them into currency. The main character has 2 billion points to spend and thinks about how to maximize that value in the game. He discovers legendary rank weapons he did not even know existed, since the public only knows of heroic items. Choi Hyun-sung selects the Demon King's staff to inspect it, but no information appears on the screen. The system states that a normal rank player cannot acquire this weapon, as his current points do not qualify him for that category. He spots a locked item above the heroic rank and scrolls down to find a mysterious elixir. The medicine is said to cure any disease, suggesting the system wants him to dive into business. Since wealthy people covet tanking skills, he decides to look at those options next. He finds an attribute boosting potion and realizes it could be profitable to resell later. If he plans well, he could become seriously overpowered, so he examines a tiny red stone meant for consumption. When he swallows the item, his muscles instantly contract as his physical power rises. Although the power increase is small, the sensation is far more intense than he expected. Afterward, the hero buys a skill book that reduces mana consumption by 10%. He wonders where to store the book and decides to list it on the sales tab to test the marketplace. The MC soon discovers that the system takes a 20% fee on every item sold. Although he feels it is a ripoff, he knows there is no other way and prepares to launch his master plan. The MC starts buying more strength-boosting items until his desk is piled with stat gems. Later, at the Player Association skyscraper, he stands in line to speak with a receptionist. The MC explains he came to register because he has finally awakened his powers. The woman finds it odd and questions if he truly managed to awaken, noting that no one his age has ever done so late in life. The MC does not grasp what she means until he catches his reflection in a mirror. For some reason, his face looks like an old man's, leaving him completely shaken. He collapses to the floor as a concerned bystander rushes to help him. The MC realizes that nothing in this world comes for free and quickly opens his system window. That is when he notices his points dropping, only to discover they are actually his life expectancy points. Back at home, the MC quickly does the math to assess his dire situation. He realizes he has only about 1.5 years left to live. He decides to sell his belongings to the system, starting with his handheld console. The system's screen instructs him to place the electronic device into the floating registration window. When he touches the console to the window, the item vanishes into thin air. He registers the console with 40 games included and sets a much higher price to try his luck. He laughs as the console is successfully listed for sale, wondering if he should sell more items from his desk. Meanwhile, in a treasure-filled room, a demonic girl feels frustrated with the mundane shop items. She believes there should be more competition until a notification alerts her that a godlike class item has been listed. The girl's eyes widen in excitement as she lunges forward to purchase the item. The MC notices he has fewer wrinkles and pokes his face in disbelief. He finally feels his life returning to normal, proving his points are tied to his very existence. The current mystery remains that the girl does not know how to operate these modern gadgets and needs technical support. The MC examines her new possessions with confusion, wondering why such a device would be considered rare. As she inspects the digital watch, she fails to grasp its significance. When she looks at the screen, a mobile data alert appears. It is clear she has never used a cellular phone before. Even after tapping the screen and clutching the device tightly, she cannot connect to the internet. She has no idea how the device works, but she keeps fiddling with it. While exploring the video functions, she discovers what she thinks is mirror magic. She finds it amusing and decides to press the button. A digital effect suddenly places a stylish hat on her head. The surprise makes her jump with excitement. After a brief hesitation, she decides to take a selfie. She looks directly into the lens with a neutral focus and takes several more photos while smiling on her balcony. The demon woman is far from happy. She wanted to purchase all the items, but someone stole that chance from her. She struggles to figure out what these items are for. She uses her magic to seek a clue, but the objects stay inert. Even after turning on the gaming console, she feels no magic. She only sees a loading screen and stays skeptical. Without realizing it, she ends up playing for hours. She taps the buttons frantically. She eventually meets the game over screen, feeling the sting of defeat. She is not happy about her defeat and erupts in a fit of rage. A massive boom echoes through the Gothic castle as the floor quivers from her anger. Choi Kun-sung stands in the city at night, attempting to list a vehicle for sale on a mysterious digital marketplace. He soon discovers he cannot list items that do not belong to him. Frustrated by these system limitations, the MC decides to leave the area. As the MC walks along, he spots various discarded objects on the ground and decides to give each one a trial run. He manages to list a broken fan, only to discover that the shop is highly selective about the types of items it accepts. The shop also limits listings to 10 items at a time. He notices a 20% fee is taken from his points, leaving him with less than expected. Choi Kun-sung opens the sales menu and sighs, realizing that no one seems interested in buying his goods. A new notice suddenly appears regarding a complaint lodged against him by a user named Bikwa. The alert warns that additional reports could result in a ban, a secondary system the MC had no idea existed. In a state of shock, he hurriedly lowers his prices to avoid further trouble with the administration. Suddenly, a notification informs him that every single one of his listed items has sold instantly. His panic eases into greed. He begins to laugh and raises the prices even higher than they were originally. Another complaint arrives shortly after, claiming that 70% of the sold items were defective. Because of the flood of reports, the account receives a temporary suspension after 14 out of 20 items are flagged. Buyers are upset because a cell phone shut off. They did not realize the device actually required charging. More messages arrive regarding everyday items like cigarettes and beer that the customers cannot figure out how to use. The customers begin threatening the MC, demanding immediate replacements for the items they claim are faulty. Choi Kun-sung loses his store privileges for 3 days while the investigation into his listings proceeds. If he does not resolve the complaints, his account will remain inactive for reaching 3 months. He considers sending a new phone and a charger to satisfy his confused customers, wondering if they are even from Earth. The MC jokes that his buyers are likely from Mars and decides that selling more electronics is his only way forward. He browses Junganara, the largest online used market, but quickly realizes that he lacks even the small amount of money needed for their cheap prices. After rummaging through his pockets, he discovers only a few meager coins. With nothing else to auction, he nearly considers selling his own skill book until a sudden idea strikes him. He spends hours typing away on his phone as the evening settles in. The MC heads to a construction site where the buildings are wrapped in scaffolding and purple netting. The local workers stare in pure awe as he demonstrates his incredible physical strength. He easily hauls heavy cement bags, claiming he is just accustomed to hard labor when the others question his background. The crew gives him a thumbs up for his effort as 3 days of grueling work come to an end. Night falls over the studio apartments as the countdown for his trading suspension reaches its final 9 seconds. Just as the MC prepares to list new items with a confident smile, a new notification warns of incoming complaints. He looks visibly shaken as his phone begins buzzing with a series of frantic alerts. The situation turns into a disaster when he sees that all 20 items he sold are labeled as defective. One furious customer demands a replacement for a broken gaming console and even threatens him with violence. Choi Hyun-sung feels overwhelmed as aggressive demands for replacement items flood his inbox. He shouts in pure frustration, fearing a 3-month ban if he cannot fix the mess before the deadline. After taking a moment to sigh and recover, he steels himself with a determined grin to save his account. He returns to the construction site for another 3 days, working hard under the bright blue sky. He finally collects his wages and prepares the shipping boxes needed to resolve the customer complaints. While checking his tablet, he suspects that an irrational buyer is intentionally causing these troubles. The MC readies a pair of batteries, just as the notification arrives confirming his suspension has been lifted. He uploads the listing immediately, and a buyer snatches it up the very moment it goes live. Success follows quickly as 14 of the previous complaints are resolved, and the remaining 4 disputes disappear. The MC's account points start soaring to unbelievable heights. He celebrates his huge success with a triumphant shout and feels like a rock star seller. With the crisis finally averted, he feels confident enough to move forward with his business. The MC is already planning to list a fresh stock of high-demand electronics, such as phones and consoles. Before he can move on, one more task remains. He needs to register as an official player. To obtain a registration card, the MC must finish an intense 3-week training course. He knows that failing the course twice means permanently losing his registration rights. Merely waking up does not guarantee a career as a dungeon hunter, but he breezes through every test. The MC earns a genuine round of applause for his impressive performance. Despite his success, another player argues that he should not graduate because he lacks a certain skill. A girl calls the comment cruel, while other students remain indifferent to the argument. The MC expected those reactions. 3 weeks later, he is finally ready to leave the school behind. A few classmates invite him for drinks, but he politely declines for personal reasons. He is not bothered by their disappointment and doubts they will ever meet again. The receptionist announces that the registration card is ready, and he feels a surge of genuine joy. With his hero license in hand, he can finally sell his rare skill book for a massive price. The earnings will allow him to start hunting and eventually pay for his father's medical treatment. At an equipment rental shop, he makes a big purchase with a credit card to get properly geared up. The clerk warns him about late return fees and laughs while wishing him luck in the dungeon. The financial burden is heavy as even basic gear is expensive, but it is necessary to enter. Without proper equipment and mission entry fees, the guild will not let him enter a dungeon. In the bustling plaza, recruiters promise to cover all fees to attract rare tanks and healers. The MC is awestruck by the clamor as he prepares to enter his first dungeon. He checks his status window and sees that his attributes and unique item trading skill have improved. With those stats, he could join any group, but he plans to hunt alone to keep his ability hidden. He heads to a portal where a staff member asks if he is really going in without a party. After the MC confirms his choice, his passage is approved and he runs toward the entrance. The staff members judge him because even the most experienced players avoid solo hunting. He knows this is not a game. It is a real and dangerous world where every step counts. A guard questions his nerve, muttering that arrogant people need to learn the hard way. He steps through the portal and officially enters the dungeon. The dark cave is lit only by torches. The MC immediately spots a group battling a massive horned rabbit. He never expected a creature of that size. He decides to watch the fight first as the group leader calls for a provocation. He wonders if he should grab popcorn while the drama unfolds. The creature charges at the shield-bearing hero with fierce speed and aggression. For a moment, it looks like the hero can hold it off, but his defense is knocked away. The leader orders the whole group to attack. Though they completed a 3-month course, they were just regular people not long ago. That is why it is almost impossible for someone like that to hunt a monster effectively. After receiving a heal, the tank gets back up while the rabbit takes a direct hit to the face. The MC realizes he underestimated the dungeon simply because it was a low-level area. One of the warriors attempts a lucky strike at the beast. The rabbit tries to defend itself, but it is useless as the sword finally lands. At last, the monster falls. The MC notes the fight took 8 minutes, while other groups took at least 3. Meanwhile, the guards ignore what is happening. Their badges mark them as security officers. Apparently, they only intervene in life-threatening situations, so he does not have to worry about the guards. His attributes are more than enough for solo play. He activates stealth mode, and his body almost vanishes into the darkness. The group congratulates other players, including the assistant and the healer from the top guild, Sue. To encourage her, the healer tells her partner they will definitely find what they are looking for. The girl thanks them politely. They insist her skills are more than enough to capture her target. The assistant does not fully agree with the plan. The girls are worried because they have already been hunting for 15 days without success. Both of them apologize simultaneously. The assistant expresses a strong desire to advance to the 4th class as soon as possible. To achieve that goal, she must find the leader of the horned rabbits. Even though it is considered a weak monster, it is known to hide extremely well. The moment it appears, she promises to finish it instantly. She is ready to crush that rabbit like a bug. The 2 adventurers activate their shadow cloaks and move deeper into the dungeon. Chisun asks if her partner heard the rumors about the leaders from Team 3 and Team 2 being at the supply warehouse. Before she can continue gossiping, they both spot a figure walking among the shadows in the darkness. Ani says she hoped to pretend she saw nothing, but now it is impossible for her to ignore what is happening. Chisun wonders if the boy came alone or if he got separated from his group. The assistant examines the adventurer and assumes he did not get separated because his gear shows not a single scratch. The mystery of why he is alone remains, but Ani notices something even more surprising about his equipment. The boy wears rental equipment, suggesting he is just a rookie wandering alone. The pair assumes the boy is an idiot, since a hunter would need at least 35 levels to hunt those monsters alone. In a second, they swallow their words. With one blow, the protagonist takes down the rabbit. The adventurer shakes uncontrollably. He does not like the feeling, but it is necessary for his family. That was not his first kill. The main character has hunted many already, yet he still has not obtained any items. He activates stealth mode again and strikes another rabbit from behind. The main character seems to dislike the sensation of the hunt, leaving Ani and her companion deeply confused. Ani is deep in thought, recalling the fundamental rule regarding 20 levels of difference. When someone hunts a monster near their own level, they earn a normal amount of experience and items. However, hunting a creature 20 levels below the hunter yields nothing at all. Consequently, the odds of obtaining 0 items are massive, leading Ani to think this must be the boy's first hunt ever. Choi Hyun-sun asks if her partner recognizes him, but neither of them knows who the guy is. The mystery remains unsolved, and the observer decides to stick around just to watch the MC fighting for a while longer. Choi Hyun-seong springs an ambush on his foes, and it seems he finally got lucky when a rare gem falls from a monster. The crystal shines brightly in his hand, marking the 5th one he has managed to snag during this hunt. The MC never imagined leveling up could be this tough, as he checks his status screen only to find his stats unchanged. After slaying countless monsters, he expected to be on the next level already and wishes there were a visible experience bar to track his progress. He hopes another hour will finally show a change, yet after 5 long hours, he is still at exactly the same level. Something is definitely off with this system, as it usually takes at most 2 days for someone to reach a higher level. He realizes the situation is not right and notes that the atmosphere feels heavy and oppressive. Choi Hyun-seong feels deeply disappointed by his lack of growth compared to the points he earned elsewhere in the past. After a full day of hunting here, he has earned only 100 points total, though he tries to stay optimistic. A rabbit tries to attack him from behind while he sits, but he finishes the creature with a single decisive slash. Choi Hyun-seong stands up as a massive group of aggressive rabbits starts closing in on his position. He prepares his next area of effect attack and cuts down all the monsters with one powerful strike. He looks tired from the repeated waves, yet when another rabbit jumps at him, he drops it with a simple move. After the battle, he receives a new achievement notice and earns the title Jackalope Hunter for defeating 100 monsters alone. Choi Hyun-seong takes a break to examine the change, and the new title now appears clearly in his status window. Because of the title, he gains a boost to vitality and a chance to rank up to a rare class. The title is common, but most players level up and move on before they meet the tough requirements. Almost no one ever gets this specific title. The main character realizes that being able to rank up to a rare class is a great advantage. The hidden assistant is having a blast watching him. She is thrilled to have found such an interesting and skilled person. She saw him strike a rabbit in the throat with a single attack. At first, she wondered if it was just luck. But she saw him do it repeatedly with precision. Even when surrounded, the kid managed to defeat the monsters with a single blow. She is desperate to recruit him. Meanwhile, Choi Hyun-seong wonders whether to venture deeper into the dungeon. Suddenly, Choi Hyun-seong hears 2 voices calling him. He spots 2 players in custom outfits and high-grade armor. Jo soon tells him there is no need to be tense because they are security officers. He does not seem to believe them. He had not seen any badges or sensed their presence. Jo soon explains they are on a mission to protect the interior of the portal. She claims they were using stealth, but he had not even heard them breathe as they approached. The girl approached because she thought his skills were too good to waste on rabbits. Since he is only level 1, he worries about his secret being discovered. Choi Hyun-seong asks if he must show them anything. The assistant says she is curious because they are from the famous Soo Guild. He recognizes the name as one of the biggest groups in Korea. She offers to help him join if he shows her his status window. He is in a tough spot because a penalty stops him from leveling up. He thinks a level 1 player with his stats will look suspicious. No matter how much he hunts, his level stays the same. He says he has no intention of joining a guild and turns his back on them. The woman tries to stop him from leaving, which startles him. She asks curiously if he truly does not know the reputation of the Siwa Guild. He confirms he knows who they are. Still, she demands to know why he keeps refusing to join their prestigious group. He explains he does not like being tied down. He maintains that he does not need a guild to succeed. She expresses surprise and asks if he is already part of another team. He keeps denying it. He states clearly that he prefers to work alone and says goodbye to them. The woman named Unnie hands the MC her card in case he changes his mind. He takes the card and prepares to leave. She makes one last request for them to leave the dungeon together, arguing that it would make things easier for everyone. The main character refuses any contact with other players, much to the annoyance of Unnie, who finds his behavior incredibly rude. Her friend suggests he might regret his solitary attitude one day as they watch him walk away into the distance. When Choi Hyun-seong returns to the surface, the bright sun reminds him to be more cautious from now on. Something catches his eye as he notices that they still do not leave the dungeon. He heads to a nearby taxi stand and hops into the vehicle, where a cheerful driver awaits. The driver asks where he is going, so the MC checks the route on his phone before answering. He asks to be taken to the Blood Fox dungeon. The driver congratulates him, claiming he knows all the routes by heart. The MC ignores the idle chatter, focused only on the fact that his level is still 1 despite his efforts. At the new location, crowds of players are already shouting advertisements to find party members for the raid. The atmosphere feels the same as before as he approaches the gate alone, bypassing the armored guards. The attendant asks for his party, but Choi Hyun-seong insists he is entering the dungeon alone. Inside the dungeon, he encounters a fierce, fang-toothed fox surrounded by a group of players. He observes the scene and notices the security guards are just as indifferent here as they were before. He takes advantage of the situation and activates his stealth. Hidden, he successfully reaches the lower floor. He draws his sword and prepares for combat, confident that his efforts will finally pay off this time. Choi Hyun-seong charges at the creatures. He notices that defeating one of them awards 180 points. He swings his sword to end the fight quickly. With a single move, the foxes are rendered lifeless. He notices more foxes approaching from the shadows and gradually finds himself surrounded by the pack. The MC wonders if he will have to take this fight seriously. After 2 hours of non-stop battle, his kill count reaches 299. By defeating 300 higher-level monsters, Choi Hyun-seong earns a new title, Blood Fox Hunter, after a long marathon of combat. Choi Hyun-seong expected this outcome and opens his status window. Although his level remains the same, his strength has increased by 1 point. Each title provides a unique benefit. Soon, the MC is surrounded by a massive group of foxes once again. The MC is ready to begin the second part of his experiment. 7 hours into the fight, he reaches another milestone with a final strike. He opens his notification window and sees that he has earned a rare title. He is now officially known as the Blood Fox Predator. The hunter is pleased to see his rank increase as he catches his breath. Not only did his strength rise again, but he discovers the next tier is the heroic rank. Choi Hyun-seong pauses to rest and reflects on his progress. He plans to return the next day and carefully stores his gathered gems in his bag. On his way out, he discovers a skill book called Rigid Body. This skill is designed to harden the user's bones and muscles. A warning appears stating that he already knows this skill. He is disappointed that he cannot use the book. He decides to list the item for sale at an incredibly high price. He then uses his money to buy a different skill book instead. Finally, the MC returns to the surface and prepares to leave. The dungeon receptionist asks him to place his acquired items into the collection basket. He places his belongings on the counter for evaluation. The staff member inspects the hall and is shocked by the number of magic stones. The staff member is even more impressed by the rare skill book, and he asks the MC if there is any problem. At the base, the magic stones are scanned and evaluated professionally in the modern office building. The total value of the harvest equals 39,000 reis, causing the MC to exclaim in surprise. Once the books are sold, the company will contact him, and he leaves the counter feeling satisfied. At this pace, the MC estimates he can earn at least 1,000,001 per day. He concludes that it really is good to be a player in this world and enjoys living the gamer dream. The next day, he takes a break to eat and wonders about his current living situation. The MC considers renting a room near the dungeon because his actual home is too far away. Inside the cave, another fox meets a swift end by his blade. He unlocks a heroic achievement for defeating 5,000 foxes alone, earning the title of Blood Fox Killer. The MC did not expect to be the first to achieve such a high-ranked title. Even though he feels as if he cheated, he realizes it is a very positive development. In the status window, his points shoot up to 100, while all attributes improve significantly. He also discovers that it is possible to rank up a title even further to legendary status. The MC wonders if it is worth the effort, but he is too tired and promises to return tomorrow. 10 days later, he has rented a room at the Blood Fox Dungeon Motel and takes a moment to eat. Back in the dungeon, he defeats another group of foxes to reach his final goal. A new achievement unlocks, confirming that the legendary rank has finally been achieved by the first player. Our guy collapses from sheer exhaustion after his intense effort, muttering about how tough the ordeal was. On the screen, another massive jump flashes as every attribute climbs by 40 points. The MC cannot stop laughing, feeling a deep sense of pride in his accomplishment. Unfortunately, that is the highest a title can reach. He has hit the current limit. The MC prepares to head out. He remains unfazed because there are plenty of other places to continue his adventure. He steps into the Jackalope Dungeon, a low-level zone intended for players starting out. A monster attempts to strike him from behind, but he swiftly shoves it away using the hilt of his sword. That single move slams the creature straight into the wall with tremendous force. The MC has become strong enough to defeat these monsters with his bare hands. The MC decides that he has done enough for the day and heads back to the motel to rest. Choi Hyun-seong receives a message confirming that the items he listed in the auction house have been sold. However, he learns that he must pick up the hefty payment in person. Upon arriving at the auction house, he checks in with the receptionist. She asks building visitors to double-check that all paperwork is correct before signing. At that moment, the MC suddenly realizes that the auction house takes a 42% fee on every item sold. He cannot believe the outrageous cost and decides he will no longer sell his books through their service. He knows he must hunt efficiently and has already earned 10 million from selling magic stones. Reaching 1 billion is not impossible if he keeps this pace. He hopes to buy the elixir much sooner than he originally expected. While walking down the street, Choi Hyun-seong glances at his appearance. Since his father collapsed, he has not bought new clothing. His family could not afford such luxuries before, but he is determined to end that struggle today. At a nearby factory, a crew of workers finishes assembling parts as the shift ends exactly at 7 p.m. As the workers say their goodbyes, a woman walks out alone. Choi Hyun-seong calls to his mother as she exits the building. She lights up with joy to see her son, but when he pulls her into a hug, he notices how thin she has become. The mother asks why he came, but he simply says he wanted to see her. She asks her son if he has had dinner yet. The MC replies that he has not because he wants to share a meal with her. The mother explains she cannot join him because she must head to her next destination right away. She pulls some money from her pocket and insists he buy himself something to eat. Choi Hyun-seong knows she has not eaten either and tries to help. She refuses his aid, claiming she only ever eats during her work hours. The MC finally decides to come clean and tell the truth. He reveals to her that he has finally awakened as a player. His mother is completely shocked and asks him to repeat what he just said. To prove his words, the MC shows her his official player registration card. He tells his mother that she can finally stop working at the restaurant, but her first reaction is deep concern for his safety. He insists that he is careful, yet she still refuses to quit, arguing that being a player does not guarantee a steady income. She has heard that players often spend more than they earn at the start. Choi Hyun-seong agrees and reaches out to show her his actual earnings. She opens the document and is stunned to see that her son has earned 1 billion won. The MC laughs and explains that this massive sum will easily cover all the hospital bills. Upon hearing this, his mother starts crying immediately, overwhelmed with emotion. Choi Hyun-seong asks her to stop crying and says that it is finally their turn to rest. She can only say thank you, and he pleads with her to accept the help. Later, she proudly introduces her son to the rest of the restaurant staff. The MC lends a hand by washing the dishes, helping everyone finish work earlier that night in high spirits. At the end of the evening, they leave the building, say their goodbyes, and head home. The MC's sister greets their mother at home. Choi Hyun-seong is clearly happy to see her again. The girl looks puzzled by his sudden appearance. However, he promises that he is there for a very good reason. The three of them sit together on the living room floor. He prepares to make a big announcement to the family. He finally reveals to his sister that he has awakened as a player. He stands proudly beside his mother while sharing the news. He explains that he has made a significant amount of money. He reaches out to show her the proof of his earnings. His sister watches in utter disbelief as she gazes at the massive figure displayed on the document. The earnings total 1 billion won. She can hardly believe what she is seeing as she holds the card. He promises that from now on, they will not have to work so hard. This realization makes his sister burst into tears of relief. That night, the whole family sleeps soundly in their home. The main character finally drifts to sleep with a peaceful smile on his face. The next morning, he announces that he is heading out. He tells his mother he will only come back once she finally quits her job. He explains that he can pick up equipment near the dungeons before preparing for his next mission. Later, his mother tries to call him, but the calls go straight to voicemail. The lack of contact leaves her deeply anxious about his safety as a player. Suddenly, the boy arrives running and explains that heavy traffic forced him to travel on foot. The mother gives him a light smack on the head out of worry. Afterward, they head to the hospital to visit his father. Looking at his father, he vows that he will find a way to heal him soon. 10 days later, he earns a legendary title for hunting 10,000 higher-level monsters. The MC has officially become a jackalope slayer and continues his journey wearing new armor. Checking his watch, he sees it is still early enough for him to continue hunting. He arrives at the vampire bat dungeon by taxi and notices the area is completely deserted. The dungeon is recommended for levels 10 to 15 and houses creatures that travel in massive flocks. He prepares for the battle ahead, knowing he must face an overwhelming number of enemies. The MC activates stealth mode, slipping past the chatting guards without being noticed. He smiles as he successfully steps through the portal without alerting the sentries. Ready to begin the hunt, he activates a protective shield and pricks his finger to release the scent of blood. As the creatures catch the scent, they charge in a massive wave that looks like darkness itself rushing toward him. A massive shadow covers him completely, prompting him to launch a fireball spell. The barrier holds, but the weak flame shows that he is struggling to maintain two skills at once. The MC focuses his energy to intensify the fire, despite the trouble caused by the tiny, swarming creatures. This is the best fire magic the MC can produce in this desperate situation. The fireball bursts through the barrier and triggers a massive explosion inside the cave. The impact is so powerful that the bats are wiped out instantly, although the barrier is left cracked. The MC had not expected such power, but a new wave of bats flies toward him before he can celebrate. He prepares another fire spell as the bats charge at him at full speed. He launches the fireball and immediately receives a notification for a new achievement. While he hopes for a legendary achievement, his priority remains finding magic stones. In the darkness, he spots a strange shadow and discovers a sword shaped like a bat. The mana from the fallen bats forms a new weapon, and the MC reaches down to claim the prize. A system message explains that the vampiric sword is a rare class item, allowing him to steal life from his targets. The weapon restores his strength and magic, an effect that he finds quite impressive. He wonders if it is possible to obtain more than one of these powerful blades. He discovers that, when a large group of monsters die simultaneously, their mana can fuse together to create a rare item. A week later, he realizes that replicating this success is more difficult than he initially thought. Only standard gems dropped on the ground, as the mana has only fused one more time since the blade was created. The new item in his bag is a vampire bat cape, which has decent durability but is rare in name only. The MC feels disappointed by the results and decides to wrap up this particular hunt. He decides it is better to travel to another dungeon and start collecting different titles. A few days later, while looking at properties at Aju Real Estate, his mother asks if he is doing okay. She is concerned because they are spending a large amount of money to buy a new house. The MC promises not to overexert himself and laughs off her worries. When they enter the office, the attendant greets them and mentions they spoke on the phone earlier. The attendant recalls that the MC is looking for a massive apartment, even though his mother thinks the size is excessive. He insists on the larger space because he wants every family member to have their own room. A week later, his sister sees their new home for the first time and finds the apartment absolutely huge. His sister gets very excited, and he promises that the next house they buy will be even bigger. To her, this current home is already perfect. Their mother prepares the very first meal in their new kitchen. The sister suggests bringing welcome rice cakes to the neighbors, a traditional gesture that their mother supports. Choi Hyun-seong savors the cozy scene, wishing his father could be there for the next celebration. Later, he steps into the Blood Rat Dungeon, a zone intended for adventurers between level 8 and 10. The rats line up for an attack, but the hero springs upward to dodge their synchronized strike. While soaring, he chuckles at the odd sight and pushes off the cave walls to launch his counterattack. The rats move faster than he expected, yet one swift strike drops 2 of them. The MC is clearly on another level, summoning a fireball as he readies himself to earn more titles. At the exit, his bag overflows with wealth, and he surveys his loot from within the dim cave. The inspector can barely believe his eyes, staring in total shock at the massive hall. Choi Hyun-seong waves goodbye with a smile, when suddenly a voice calls his name. A woman steps forward and introduces herself as Lee Soo-hee, an assistant from the C1 Guild. She asks for a moment to talk, reminding him that her manager was desperate to locate a mysterious individual. The manager screams in frustration, but Lee Soo-hee stays calm and insists she knows nothing. The guildmaster examines Choi Hyun-seong's profile, noting the thousands of magic stones the young man has sold. The assistant expresses doubt about any special ability, yet the guildmaster remains convinced that the odds are high. The guildmaster is determined to recruit the young man and decides to send a negotiations specialist to assist. Lee Soo-hee suggests she try first, but as she turns to leave, the leader asks one final question. The leader asks whether the information has leaked, though she assures him that everyone has kept quiet. Meanwhile, Choi Hyun-seong remembers the contact card and wonders how the guild managed to track him down. The realization irritates him, and the MC demands to know how they uncovered his background. A negotiation specialist introduces himself, but the MC dismisses the group and walks away. The man persists and asks to visit the recruiter's house, catching the MC completely off guard. The visitor identifies himself as Go Jin-sung and explains that he waited outside to respect his privacy. When Go Jin-sung offers a guild position, Choi Hyun-seong replies that he has no interest in joining any organization. The recruiter apologizes for his persistence, but his corporate charm has no effect on the young man. Choi Hyun-seong cuts the conversation short and asks for specific details regarding the signing bonus and salary. As Go explains the details, the MC realizes it is time to start playing his cards and shake things up. The recruiter promises a signing bonus of at least 100 million and an annual salary of 10 million. The MC is genuinely surprised by the massive offer and immediately feels that something is not right. He wonders if they want him as their star player, but he has never heard of a guild offering that much to a rookie. The only exception was the famous player Kim Hana, who had already proven her worth to the world. Although he possesses a unique buy and sell ability, he knows the recruiters are completely unaware of it. When he received his player card, it only revealed his level, but now the MC finally understands the situation. Choi Hyun-seong asks directly if the interest is because of the stones, and the recruiter flinches in response. It is unlikely that a major guild would chase someone just for stones unless they suspect a unique ability. The recruiter wants to know what the MC is thinking, but he knows showing his status window offers no advantage. Go says he will promise everything once he sees the status, but the MC demands the bonus up front. When the recruiter keeps insisting on seeing the window first, the MC decides to end the conversation. The MC had already expected this outcome and realizes he must be much more careful with the gems. He has attracted enough attention to be investigated, making the situation far more dangerous than before. He receives a call from an unknown number. It is the same recruiter, and he reacts with clear concern. The MC immediately hangs up the phone, as his patience with the persistent recruiter is completely exhausted. Later that night at home, a new message arrives from Ko Jin-sung of the CO Guild. Exhausted by the constant harassment, the MC picks up his phone and blocks the contact for good. He heads out to hunt again, But at the dungeon exit, the persistent recruiter is already waiting for him. The MC completely ignores the man and enters another dungeon filled with glowing blue lizard creatures. He easily defeats the group of monsters, despite being tired from constant combat. At this pace, he will soon be able to buy the elixir with his accumulated points. The points have now surpassed 3 billion, giving him much-needed confidence. The next location is the Red-Maned Wolf Dungeon, which is recommended for adventurers between levels 15 and 20. The area is already crowded with other parties, as several giant red wolves are under attack by groups of adventurers. The MC is certain these creatures are stronger than the lizards, yet he knows they will fall with a single hit. He believes that with his current statistics, he can even defeat level 50 monsters. Today, he aims for the Wolf Hunter title, twirling his dark blade in anticipation of the upcoming fight. Deeper in the dungeon, a blood-stained security badge lies on the floor near a discarded weapon, hinting at a recent tragedy. Death hangs in the air as it becomes clear that a man is being eaten alive by a massive two-headed dog. The victim's partner, a level 71 player, watches in absolute horror and disbelief at the scene. The player tries to help his friend, but in an instant, he loses his own arm to the creature's incredible speed. In a desperate move, the man tries to escape, but one final attack from the beast ends his life. Elsewhere, the MC finds a group of people chatting casually near a popular portal. He finds the overcrowding very concerning, especially since these portals have been appearing for 10 years. While new players awaken each year to combat the threat, a rogue wolf suddenly leaps to attack the MC. Shori Hounsung beheads the leaping wolf midair with a single, precise strike. Before the beast even lands, a new group of monsters is already waiting to strike him. The MC quickly prepares his magic with a confident smile, summoning a fireball into his hand. He effortlessly blows them all up with one strike, but another pack immediately readies to attack. He raises his shield against the onslaught, but chooses to punch the nearest hound instead. The MC creates a combo by striking with his blade and preparing to launch a magic missile. The magic missile instantly blows up one of the wolves in a massive explosion. He taunts the remaining pack with a smirk before leaping over their charge. Shori Hounsung finishes the battle and earns his first incredible achievement title. He finds the ability of his blade very useful as he examines the glowing weapon. Since the area is cleared, he decides to move on but spots a group fighting nearby. He ignores their struggle until he hears a desperate scream and turns back to the scene. The MC witnesses two players die instantly and locks eyes with a giant, terrifying creature. A female player attempts to flee from the monster, but she is squashed like a fly. A piece of the girl lands at the MC's feet, leaving him feeling sick at the sight. The massive three-headed hound has wiped out the entire party with terrifying ease. The MC is tense as the dog tries to crush him, forcing him into a swift dodge. For the first time in his life, the MC feels that his existence is truly in danger. The MC hides behind a rock, but the creature attacks his exact position anyway. He jumps to escape, but the grazing attack from the beast shatters his protective armor. Left with only his shirt and cloak, the main character slams his shield into the lunging monster. He strikes the beast directly on its nose, leaving it momentarily stunned. Shori Hounsung drops his bag and prepares his next spell, launching 3 fireballs at once. The triple fireball strike lands with a thunderous boom, making the beast feel the impact. Realizing his magic is not dealing enough damage, he grabs his belongings and tries to flee. The MC looks back in tension, noting that this monster is a tank even for high-level players. He fires 2 more fireballs, hitting 2 of the heads of the beast at the same time. The main character shows signs of strain, worrying that his mana will run out quickly. The massive beast looms over him and lands a direct hit from behind as he tries to escape. Fortunately, he survives because his cloak is far more durable than his rented equipment. The hound tries to pummel him in vain while he struggles to catch his breath. He quickly opens the purchase system and finds a gem that boosts dexterity. In the middle of the chase, the MC consumes the gem to raise his total stats. He gains a surge of power, looking forward with a confident smirk. With his enhanced power, he throws a fireball that scorches the face of the monster. The monster is injured, but the 3-headed beast uses its paw to block further strikes. The MC believes victory is near, but the giant panther suddenly begins regenerating its wounds. It is clear that standard fireballs will not be enough to handle this challenge. While running from the giant hound, he finds a powerful skill available for purchase. The skill is expensive, but he realizes he must survive at any cost. He turns to face the charging giant and prepares his new flame ability, the Fire Spear. The explosion hits the monster directly in the face, and the MC jumps up, thrilled that the plan worked. One of the creature's heads is blown away, but the next attack completely misses. The MC remains focused and challenges the beast, daring it to see who will survive the encounter. The first spear whistles past the target, but the second one strikes true, slicing off another head. He celebrates the successful strike, only to realize that the celebration will not last long. The MC checks his status window and discovers that his mana is almost exhausted, with only 4% remaining. His goal now is to survive until his energy recovers, and the visible tension shows on his face. In another part of the dungeon, a girl screams in panic as the ceiling begins to collapse around her. All the players flee the area, leaving only the guards to witness the horrifying scene. A guard discovers a massive footprint, and Rupa remarks that the creature must be anything but ordinary. The girl wonders if chasing such a beast is wise, while another player grows restless. The guards outside are not replying to any messages, suggesting the creature may have already taken them. Even without full confidence, the group leader still plans to investigate the situation further. One member refuses to continue the risky task, while the leader remains deeply worried about the outcome. The argument escalates until they have to be physically separated. A teammate reminds them that it is not the time for fighting while they are under such intense pressure. Back in the battle, the MC finds that his mana is not recovering fast enough as the monster starts to regenerate. He needs to end the fight quickly and prepares one last magical spear for a final gamble. The MC and the beast lock eyes in a tense standoff, as each of them senses the immediate danger. The MC drops his current weapon and readies a new golden power, while the monster snarls at him. He grips the fire spear tightly as the sounds of metallic clanging fill the air. The MC smiles confidently and takes a deep breath, readying himself for whatever the beast throws at him. The massive hound leaps to crush him, but the MC is already airborne near its head. Cerberus dodges the attack and strikes back instantly, forcing the MC to dodge the blow just in time. He pushes off a rock, using the momentum to launch himself forward with eyes narrowed for a violent slash. He lands and notices that even a grazing hit left a permanent scar on the monster's face. The MC charges toward his foe with pure determination, knowing the battle is far from over. The MC lands another hit, making the massive creature cry out in pain. Seeking revenge, the beast tries to crush him again as he stares it down with resolve. The MC uses his speed to leap into the air and climb onto the monster's back. He jumps as high as he can, driving the fire spear deep into its neck. The MC thinks he has finally won as Cerberus appears dead. Suddenly, a massive paw swings at him. The shield proves useless and he is thrown back. The dog's face begins to regenerate as the creature prepares another assault. Once again, the MC is cornered by the beast, which proves to be a truly stubborn creature. Even with his mana nearly depleted, he readies himself for one final round. He attacks the half-formed face just as another massive paw swings toward his neck. The MC counters instantly, throwing his spear to blast the monster's other neck. Finally, the giant monster collapses lifelessly with a massive explosion. The MC sinks into total exhaustion, gazing at his fallen foe. He sighs with relief as he finally finds some peace. A new notification appears on the screen as he earns a rare achievement for defeating the monster known as Gradoon. Choi Hyun-sung did not know he was fighting a named creature until another message appears. He was not expecting this, as he receives the title of Level Breaker for slaying a monster 100 levels above his own. The MC is happy with the two new achievements, even though it took a massive effort. Suddenly, the monster's body transforms into mana and becomes a glowing skill book. He walks over and picks it up, discovering a rare skill that grants the ability to survive as long as his head stays intact. All other wounds will regenerate. As long as he protects his head, any attack can be healed. He is now almost immortal, standing tall after his harrowing victory. Even if the regeneration is slow, he can still evolve this ability. He has never seen a rare skill for sale that can evolve like this. The MC gathers his gear and gets ready to leave, thinking no other skill like this exists. A message asks if he wants to activate the power of immortality, and Choi Hyun-sung accepts. A blue light glows as he gains the tome of immortality. As soon as his passive ability activates, he starts to regenerate, though the skill seems to consume his vitality. Fortunately, he has plenty of vitality to spare. Later, he checks the titles he has earned professionally. The first title, the First Level Defier, boosts all attributes by 5 points. Since it is a common rank, he can improve that percentage further. With the second title, he gains 3 vitality, making the monster Gradon a very helpful foe. Having wrapped everything up, he decides to head back. Just then, a team of players from the association rushes in to hunt the monster. This is the extermination squad from the player association. One member announces that he has found someone. The adventurers look completely confused. Squad leader Shin Yuna explains she heard a rumor about a high-level monster. She asks everyone to evacuate immediately, while one girl looks clearly frightened. The leader confirms the threat is real. Shin asks if any team members have already detected the creature. One member replies that he can only sense nearby wolves. Suddenly, the scout senses a change and announces that a player has been found. Shin urgently asks where they are. The scout says it is just one person. Meanwhile, the MC makes his way back, feeling quite proud of himself. The MC suddenly stops as he feels someone approaching. He wonders who they are, noting that their gear is high level. The group leader approaches the MC and asks if everything is all right. Though he feels suspicious, he replies that he is fine. Shin notices he is quite dirty and asks if he encountered the monster. He pretends not to know what she means. She asks if he saw a high-level creature nearby. Realizing the association knows, he decides to admit he saw it. The girl gets closer than expected, eager for details. Realizing her mistake, Shin quickly apologizes and offers a vial to treat his wounds. He recognizes the rare item. It is a low-grade healing potion that can quickly mend wounds. Captain Shin smiles and tells him to simply spray the healing potion on his hand. He is unsure how to react and begins describing the monster to the excited leader. The MC explains that the creature was an enormous, 3-headed jaguar with black fur. Shin notes that such a monster has never been seen before, and her companions are also completely unfamiliar with the beast. He adds that the monster was the size of a house, while pointing in the direction it fled. Shin thanks him before her group disappears in the blink of an eye. The MC is stunned by their incredible speed and feels relieved he defeated the creature first. The monster could have claimed many more lives, making the reward feel like a mere bonus. The elite group begins searching for nothing as the team finally reaches the end of the dungeon. One player wonders if the creature passed through the portal. The leader hopes it did not, because that would cause a much larger problem for everyone. The captain knows the monster has already tasted blood and is certain it will return for more. She decides to file a report to the association, yet something still bothers her about the encounter. Shin reflects on how that man escaped and why he did not seem shaken at all. She decides to go back just to talk to him, telling her men to wait while she investigates. The tank is certain the man is fine, but the team agrees to wait as she disappears into the shadows. As she makes her way back up the path, she notices strange stains on the wall. She reaches the exit gate, but the boy is nowhere to be found. Assuming he made it out safely, she remains unaware of his newly acquired skill. The MC returns to his apartment, where his slow regeneration skill proves very useful. He collapses onto the couch, completely exhausted by recent events. His mother arrives home and immediately notices that her son's face looks different. Choi Kansung spent many points on the fire spear, so he must deflect her curiosity. The MC claims he is tired from work, but his mother gets angry because he skipped lunch. As his mother prepares food, he realizes he has a significant problem on his hands. The MC knows it will be bad for him if these suspicious situations keep happening more often. At that moment, his sister calls their mother to ask about him. The sister discusses the recent incident in the dungeon, where many people lost their lives. The public likely identified the victims by checking those who had not yet exited the dungeon. His mother ends the call, and her expression shows she is clearly not happy. She has already figured out that danger is the reason why he arrived home early. Choi Kansung attempts to calm her down, claiming he did not even see the monster. His mother argues that the job is too dangerous, but he insists that he enjoys his work. He explains to her that hunting monsters is actually fun. The following day, the Red Wolf dungeon is temporarily closed as a crowd gathers outside the entrance. During their investigation, the team discovers the exact spot where the first victims were attacked. Tracking expert Kim Dong-soo notes that there are no clues about where the three-headed jaguar vanished. The MC remarks that it makes no sense for the monster to still be in the dungeon. Kim admits he is uncertain about what happened, but he keeps attempting to follow the tracks. The squad leader offers to accompany him, and the officer thanks her. The officer says he feels much safer with her by his side. Using his powers, Kim discovers that this area was also struck by the monster. The investigator notices the beast change direction, then he encounters something truly odd. The jaguar actually allowed a player to escape. Kim rushes forward, watching the scene unfold with his magic. The investigator concludes that a fierce fight took place and observes that only one player faced the beast. He can still sense the lingering fire magic and notices the high endurance of the player. The investigator guesses that the combatant is a magic swordsman because of these unique traits. They finally arrive at the site of the main battle, where the beast took a massive, fatal blow. The creature was enormous, and the man could not figure out how it was injured so severely. Initially, the investigator thought the player was a swordsman, but he now considers a mage with extraordinary dexterity. They head to the site of the decisive battle, leaving the captain feeling even more puzzled by the evidence. The investigator remains confused because he sees evidence of an incredibly fierce melee fight. After that intense clash, powerful magic was used, suggesting the player is a rare swordsman-mage hybrid. Since there is no body, he assumes the creature transformed into objects or magical crystals. They are extremely confused, since magic swordsmen and mages are usually regarded as mediocre classes. Yet this individual took down a monster far above the level of the dungeon in a solo boss rush. The investigator notes that the highest level player in the cave was only level 24, according to the reports. That person was not an officer because all the officers were wiped out, and the outsiders were too busy with their own fight. Shin believes a regular player could not have done it, and guesses it was someone with an unrenewed registration. Players must renew every 2 years, but she thinks that is insufficient for reaching such high levels. No guild-backed player entered the dungeon, which makes the situation truly strange for everyone involved. Shin asks if there is any way to track the player, and the investigator promises to try using his special powers. The officer discovers that right after the battle, the mysterious player's tracks vanished completely. The officer explains that monsters leave huge footprints, while humans barely leave traces unless engaged in combat. Unless they are engaged in an intense fight, players hardly leave any clues, making it almost impossible to detect their presence. The mysterious player did not use any magic afterward, otherwise the officer could have tracked them easily. Seeing the officer struggle, Shin realizes she made an impossible request and apologizes, admitting she has much to learn. Shin suggests they head back to wrap up the investigation inside the dungeon. In her official report, Shin Yuna states they need to investigate every player who entered the dungeon area. She assumes the person who defeated the monster is above level 100, making them an elite asset. The MC believes the association should hire them immediately to stop losing talent to private guilds. In the early days, the association wielded great influence over many powerful players. Over time, the association weakened as guilds began gathering more power through complex politics and financial influence. The decline occurred because politicians who did not understand the field were put in charge. Those leaders focused on patriotism while exploiting players with low-pay contracts. On the other hand, guilds backed by outside investors offered far better and fairer pay to their members. The association finally launched an internal probe and fired the corrupt politicians who were dragging the organization down. Even though it was late, players began stepping into those leadership roles to fix the broken system. With the new leaders in place, they improved contracts to compete effectively with the powerful guilds. They began actively recruiting promising players to rebuild the reputation of the association. The player association is entering a new era, but they remain weaker than the top-tier guilds for now. Shin stresses that they must find the mysterious player from the dungeon at all costs. Choi Kun-sung wants to finish the Red Wolf dungeon because all the other dungeons have already been cleared. However, the MC realizes there are no open dungeons for him to enter at this time. In a different city, the protagonist wonders how he will level up his new skill. He searches online for information about the Tome of Immortality, but finds absolutely nothing. The MC thinks it is simply a matter of learning how to use it, but the problem is that it is a passive skill. The difficulty lies in the fact that he is not supposed to get hurt for the skill to activate. Meanwhile, at the hotel, Choi Kun-sung looks for a way to hide his magic stones. He cannot trust the men posted at the dungeon entrance because he needs to stay out of the association staff's sight. The official inspection aims to stop players from bringing dangerous items like monster eggs or alien seeds through. Everyone knows the real goal is to stop players from dodging taxes as they return from their raids. The protagonist is convinced that the association and the guilds are hiding a secret. This situation makes it a mystery ripe for a detective. He must find a way around their inspection. He remembers an item he can buy to create a personal sanctuary and control a private dimension. Despite the insane price, he decides it is essential and clicks to confirm the purchase. The skill book materializes in his hand, and he agrees to learn it instantly. Choi Hyun-sung prepares for a test and activates the personal space skill, causing a portal to appear. The interior space is far larger than he expected, completely dwarfing the tiny studio where he used to live. After closing the portal, he walks toward the main portal to hunt monsters, hoping everything goes smoothly. The hero hopes the staff will think he is just another knight, but someone with a sharp memory for faces is watching. A staff member grabs his badge for a routine check, while a mysterious hooded figure watches from the shadows. The man finally verifies the protagonist's identity, allowing him to enter the cave. He slashes through wolves with swift strikes until a notification rings. Choi Hyun-sung earns a rare title for hunting 1,000 red wolves. The entry process finishes smoothly. He realizes the earlier holdup was just a simple biometric check. Choi Hyun-sung opens his personal space to gather jewels, leaving one outside to avoid suspicion. The protagonist feels nervous during the bag check. However, the staff member eventually confirms that everything is fine. The MC leaves as if it were a regular workday, feeling relieved that he will not draw unwanted attention. 10 days later, Choi Hyun-sung successfully hunts 10,000 red wolves and earns a legendary title. He wraps up his hunt for the day and organizes his loot, eventually receiving a new skill book. The MC keeps the one he wanted and puts the others aside. Discovering the skill is regenerative winds. It is a passive ability that speeds up recovery, and he instantly agrees to learn it. A new notification appears, but for some reason, the protagonist cannot learn the new skill. Choi Hyun-sung is completely stumped, having never encountered a situation like this before. The Book of Immortality absorbs the skill and upgrades itself, yet the hero remains completely clueless. When the MC checks the status window, it seems nothing has changed because the regenerative power merged into another skill. To test the upgrade, the protagonist takes a dagger and cuts his own skin. The wound heals quickly, but it still seems that nothing has truly evolved yet. The MC realizes the skill probably needs to absorb more books to reach its full potential. The problem is that such a book costs 30 million, a steep price even though it is highly efficient. After leaving the dungeon, Choi Hyun-sung walks off while scrolling through his phone. Suddenly, an unknown number from Osung Galactic appears on his screen. The protagonist decides to answer the call. The caller already knows they are talking to Choi Hyun-sung. The caller is the leader of the second support team. The protagonist instantly becomes nervous. He declares he will only continue the call if his specific terms are accepted. The caller recalls the 100 billion won contract and confirms they have decided to meet his demands. They want to meet to sign the contract, but Choi Hyun-sung begins suspecting it might be a scam. The caller insists that the deal is legitimate and explains they are handling the matter very seriously due to the large sum involved. The protagonist is momentarily speechless and tells the caller that he is too exhausted for an immediate meeting. The protagonist asks to review the contract first, and the man agrees to send it to him right away. He hangs up while still feeling skeptical, and a notification from the Seo Guild arrives soon after. Later, Choi Hyun-sung visits Lee Youngchul, legal consultant, to have a lawyer review the document. The lawyer spots many dangerous clauses that the guild could use to harm the protagonist. The lawyer explains that if the reputation of the guild is damaged, the contract becomes void. The executives establish terms allowing them to terminate the contract if the hero fails to meet expectations. Breaking the contract carries a heavy penalty. The main character would have to pay 10 times the bonus. The hero is getting impatient, so the lawyer suggests arranging a meeting to tweak those unfair clauses. The hero calls the guild representative and points out that the bonus is not as large as it should be. He knows he should stay calm, but he finds it difficult. He contacts the first business manager who had earlier tried to strike a deal. This time, the man offers a 50 million bonus, but Choi Hyun-sung says he specifically wanted 100 million. The negotiator notes that while the guild is a large company, the requested sum is very high. The man admits he had to beg just to get the 50 billion approval for the protagonist. Choi Hyun-sung says he will think it over, leaving the negotiator surprised. The manager sends the contract right away, and the hero starts reviewing the new terms. The document looks like the previous one, except for the bonus adjustment. He heads back to the law office for advice, where the lawyer checks in to see how things went. The lawyer is glad to help, but when he returns from the printer, something clearly bothers him. The lawyer suspects the contract was not drafted by the same person, noticing specific internal differences. Choi Hyun-sung asks how the lawyer realized that it was written by two different people. The lawyer explains that this version has fewer harsh clauses, and the penalty was cut to 5 times the bonus. It seems there is internal conflict within the guild, giving the MC a chance to negotiate a better deal. The MC asks the lawyer to draft a contract based on the first version, but without any hidden tricks. Back at the hotel, Choi Hyun-sung goes online to learn more about his potential business partners. He digs deep like a detective in a suit and quickly discovers a major dispute between the guild master and the vice leader. Feeling mischievous, he calls Seo, the support team leader. Seo is surprised, having hoped his client had already made a final decision. Choi Hyun-sung says he wants a much larger bonus, now asking for 200 billion. Seo is totally shocked by the news and explains that such an amount is probably impossible to approve right now. However, the MC immediately counters, demanding 300 billion instead. Seo finally comes clean, asking if the MC is just messing with him,